Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tabor Talk. So, I got to tell you, I was really impressed with the recent Lex Fridman, Jocko Willink podcast. So, when it came up on my feed here, I'm like, oh, Jocko Willink. I was kind of tired of the guy. I mean, you gotta love him, Navy SEAL hero, and he really is a fucking awesome guy through and through. But since he first came on the scene, I think he was on Tim Ferriss's podcast. He had never done any sort of media. He was that type of guy. And then Joe Rogan did it, and then he just blew up. And now he's got his own podcast, has his own he's got some business. I'm not sure exactly what he does, but he's got some sort of athletic jujitsu line and other things. I don't know all the details of his enterprises, but anyway, it's kind of like that Navy SEAL and all that, and basically the interviews are kind of the same old thing, right? They're going through his military career, which is incredibly impressive, and how much of a patriot and really, let's face it, just a real badass, the real deal, the real McCoy. But I found that some of the interviewers were a little afraid to offend him, if you will. They were kind of careful with the questions, and by the way, he's as intimidating as you could get. This guy is a monster and war hero, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, just a real badass. So I could understand why you might be intimidated. But Lex Fridman, I gotta tell you, I was really surprised. Some of the questions were so pointed, and I gotta tell you, Lex was not intimidated by him at all. Not that there was a confrontational thing. Of course, they like and respect each other, but he was asking really interesting, pointed questions like, what is it like to kill somebody, right? A little taste here. Here we go.
The following is a conversation with Jocko Willink, a retired U.S. Navy SEAL, co-author of Extreme Ownership, Dichotomy of Leadership, Discipline Equals Freedom, and many other excellent books. And he's the host of Jocko Podcast. Jocko spent 20 years in the SEAL teams. He was the commander of SEAL Team 3's Task Unit Bruiser that became the most highly decorated special operations unit of the Iraq War. This conversation was intense and to the point. We agreed to talk again, probably many times. And what I find very interesting, aside from the talk of leadership, is the conversation about military tactics of specific battles in history. Mm-hmm. Is it tragic or beautiful to you that some of the closest bonds that are formed between people are through war often?
I think it's both tragic and beautiful, and for the obvious reasons.
What are the obvious reasons? Why is it so obvious?
Good question.
Well, it's tragic because a lot of people die, and it's beautiful because you form bonds with people that are very difficult to break once you've been through them.
What is it about the trauma of war that makes bonds difficult to break?
Because what you realize when you're in a war is that the people that are next to you, you rely on them, and they're relying on you to survive. And without them, you will not survive. And when you realize that you need to work together as a team to live.
So I almost turned it off after this because I've heard all this stuff. I've seen Jocko, I don't know, about 20 different podcasts, and it's all kind of, this sort of stuff. And I was ready to turn it off, and then I was surprised. Like Lex, just straight out said, "Are you afraid of death?" And what do you think he said? Of course, no. Then he talked about, like I said, like, how do you feel? What is it like to kill somebody? And he got into all this sort of patriotic, like they're the bad guy, and the dehumanization of the enemy, but the typical stuff. And then Lex really challenged him, like, listen, doesn't it come down to, good guy, bad guy? We everyone does this, right? That's the goal, to dehumanize the enemy. But essentially, it's a human killing human. So got to see the podcast. Highly recommend it. Kind of a different sort of perspective on this. Lex Fridman, Jocko Willink, thumbs up. Tabor Talk. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. Peace, love, and understanding here on Tabor Talk.